Rare rebuke. Israel's foreign ministry today is slamming Elon Musk's recent series of tweets, saying they have a, quote, anti-Semitic feeling to it. Yesterday, Musk launched a baseless Twitter attack against George Soros, the progressive Jewish philanthropist who's often the target of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Musk tweeted that Soros reminds him of Magneto, a comic book supervillain. Both, of course, Soros and Magneto are Holocaust survivors and Jewish. Musk's reply, he wrote, Soros does not have good intentions and, quote, wants to erode the very fabric of civilization. Soros hates humanity, unquote. Obviously, it's not necessarily anti-Semitic to criticize George Soros, but the tweets do engage, critics say, in tropes that Jews are falsely cast as evil masterminds set out to harm the masses. Here to discuss, Sarah Fisher, CNN media analyst and Axios senior media reporter, along with Ted Deutsch, who's CEO of the American Jewish Committee, a former Democratic congressman from Florida. So, Sarah, Musk didn't say what prompted the attack, but you can't ignore the timing that Soros recently disclosed he had sold his entire holdings of stock in Tesla, which, of course, is owned by Musk. We're used to seeing controversial comments from Musk. Were you surprised by this?
I wasn't surprised by this, Jake. Musk has repeatedly, engaged in far-right conspiracies. You'll recall with the Paul Pelosi attack, he tweeted out misinformation around that. But I think it is important to note that Elon Musk, who still runs a publicly traded business in Tesla, is going to have to be mindful of the fact that anytime he's going to pick on someone online for dumping his stock, he risks other people wanting to come in and buy it. And so, as a business person, this was not the strongest move. But Musk has long sort of held some of these, more Republican right-leaning beliefs. Shortly after he took over Twitter, he allowed a bunch of accounts back on the platform that had been banned, including some neo-Nazi accounts. And so to hear this type of rhetoric coming from Elon Musk, it's not totally shocking.
Ted Deutsch, former Congressman Deutsch, obviously criticizing George Soros is not inherently anti-Semitic. What did you think of this? Did you think comparing him to Magneto, who is an evil supervillain, who is also, like George Soros, Jewish and a Holocaust survivor, saying that he hates humanity, did that cross a line for you?
Sure, of course it did, Jake. No, it's not. It's not unacceptable to criticize George Soros or anyone else, but it is clearly not an accident when you compare him to a cartoon villain who, like George Soros, survived the Warsaw Ghetto and Auschwitz. The tweet about this notion that Soros hates humanity, is trying to destroy civilization, just plays into the classic anti-Semitic conspiracy theory about Jewish wealth and power. And we've seen anti-Semitism surge since Musk took over Twitter. We've seen massive cuts to the moderation team at Twitter. And our own survey showed that 2/3 of Jews have experienced anti-Semitism, seen anti-Semitism online, 85% of those under 30, and people feel physically threatened as a result. There are repercussions when you do things like this. It's unacceptable, it's dangerous, and it plays into these classic conspiracy theories that are inherently anti-Semitic.
And Sarah, it's interesting in terms of how Elon Musk has chosen to run the platform. He's constantly engaging with people who are bad faith actors. I mean, people who subscribe to QAnon, people who are white supremacists, people who are focused on black on white violence. I mean, people who criticize diversity in Hollywood casting. I mean, these are choices he's making.
Yeah, and they're surprising choices, Jake, because Twitter has been marked down by analysts. It's hemorrhaging its ad revenue. And so Elon Musk, you would think, as the CEO of this company, who said, by the way, that he wants to manage costs to ensure that it's profitable, would be very mindful of the misinformation that he puts out there and the types of accounts that he engages with, because he wants to bring those advertisers back. When we talk to agency executives, people who are buying ads on behalf of Fortune 500 brands and smaller companies, they will tell you that they have to caution their clients when it comes to buying ads on Twitter, not just because of some of the content moderation going down, but also because of Elon Musk himself spewing misinformation. So it's puzzling to me why he continues to do this and to behave this way. But hopefully now that they have a new CEO, an advertising executive with a lot of experience, maybe she can rein him in.
So Congressman Deutsch, your governor, Ron DeSantis, frequently criticizes George Soros. I mean, it is something he does. It's something that a lot of people do because he puts a lot of money into progressive causes, including progressive district's attorney. Would you argue that that is inherently anti-Semitic? I mean, how would, go ahead.
Yeah, Jake, I don't want to parse tweets and criticism of George Soros. I think we have to acknowledge in this instance that comparing George Soros to a Holocaust survivor cartoon villain is not an accident, but it's not. I also don't want to miss the opportunity, Jake, to point out that as we're having this conversation, the White House is working on a national action plan to combat anti-Semitism. I hope that it calls for greater transparency at all the social media companies and access to the algorithms and the ability to share their community standards so that the world understands that anti-Semitism is not acceptable on any social media sites.
All right, Ted Deutsch, Sarah Fisher, thanks to both of you for joining. Appreciate it.